Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to bring a message for the chosen, specifically the divine feminine. But of course, all are welcome if you want to gather a little bit more clarity about the energy of the divine feminine. But I also would like for those of you who know you're a divine feminine to connect, tap in, like, subscribe, but also leave a comment and let us know if you can relate to this message in any way. So, I personally had my own personal experience that highlighted some things as far as triggers, that still need to be rectified and sorted out. As you all know, the journey is ongoing. It's lifelong, right? But as a divine feminine myself, I find that my testimony is very unique, as is every divine feminine's testimony out there. Many of you have gone through, things that others they wouldn't even know. People wouldn't even know that you have been through what you've gone through because you carry yourself with such royalty, poise, confidence. And you're so compassionate. You're so kind and loving that most people would never know that you have gone through the trenches. And that journey is what grew you. But you also, after you've gone through your transformation and you've awakened and you realize like, oh man, I got to protect my energy. I got to stand my ground. I got to, get back into alignment. When you look back, you realize that you held on to situations way longer than what you probably should have, right? Mainly because of your compassionate heart, your desire to see others win, or the potential that you saw in people or situations. Like you might have stayed on a job longer because you knew they needed you. You knew that without your energy, the team might have failed, or if you had certain clients or patients or whatever you did, you knew that your energy was always what brought the light to the space. But at the same time, it drained you. But you stayed because you was always concerned about how would other people feel? What would it be like if you wasn't there? So you sacrificed your time, your own emotional fulfillment, your creativity, your finances sometimes, helping others, even when you knew you barely had it, or even when you knew that person wouldn't even give it back. You made a lot of sacrifices, divine feminine. And it took a lot of courage to overcome, because you attracted people who would take advantage of that good nature that you had. And so it's like you did become the wounded warrior, where it's like, all right, I'm not going to give up. And so you never wanted to be that person that just gave up on people. This is before you awakened, though. This is before you went through your transformation. And so you got some bruises along the way because you were still asleep and thinking that love meant overgiving of yourself and your energy, not realizing that love means self-preservation first, and then everyone else gets the residual of your overflowing cup. But it pushed you into this space where, as you continue to awaken, you started to realize the importance of protecting your energy at all costs, okay? And you also realize that a lot of the people who you poured everything into would not even give you a fraction of what you was pouring into them, even if they was in a position to do so. As your eyes begin to open, you begin to realize like, man, they really don't have my back. Or you might have even seen it to the extreme where it's like, wow, not only does this person not have my back, but they're also my op. They are also in competition. They also relish in seeing me down, right? And so you begin to protect your energy. You begin to step into that masculine energy where it's like, all right, I got to find balance here. Because in your feminine, you was over nurturing. So that means you was leaning too far into your feminine for far too long, right? And so then you get to that space where it's like, all right, I got to protect my energy. I'm not going to keep over giving. Nope, I'm about to pour into me. And whoever's coming up against me, nope, I'm about to do what's necessary to protect my energy and to make sure that everything is in alignment, because you understood that you was protecting your destiny. You was protecting your birthright, which is to have peace, which is to have true love, trusting relationships, which is to have reciprocity, abundance, all of these things, you realized it was to protect your destiny. So you started to put your guard up, right? So now you've become this spiritual warrior. You are, not to be messed with. You're not to be played with. And people start to find out. They start to realize, oh, she done woke up. The sleeping lioness has awakened. And so you don't want to just run up on no awakened lioness. Now, if they sleep, you might be able to get away with some things. And they did when you was asleep. But now that you're awakened, oh, the divine feminine, especially on certain points in your journey, you would have bitten a head off or two if it came down to it. And so that becomes a large part of your journey, which is, all right, are you going to see them for who they are, see the situation for what it truly is, and what are you going to do about it? Are you going to just surrender? Are you going to be passive, or are you going to stand your ground against the opposition and say, no, my peace of mind is far more valuable than me appeasing your ego or satisfying your ego? So that's a large part of the journey, is to come out of being over-giving, passive, over-nurturing, to starting to protect and give to yourself. So you end up going into isolation, right? And you say, okay, this is my time to soul search. Let me go within and see what is it about me that caused, me to attract a lot of the relationships or the situationships or the career paths or whatever the case may be, belief systems. What is it that needs to be cleansed? And you do that soul searching in your isolation, though. So you withdraw your energy from people because you know that, okay, you're going through a transformation. Something is being cultivated within you. So you have to protect that seed at all costs. And so being alone becomes your refuge. It becomes your safe haven. And this is where you seek truths. This is where you gain, you really turn knowledge into wisdom. This is when you step into that higher consciousness and you begin to receive that guidance from within yourself, as well as that of the team that the Most High has surrounded you with, your angels, your ancestors, right? And so that solitude becomes a very necessary part of your journey. And it is cozy as hell. So you're there, you're protecting your energy, you know what you've gone through, so you're very selective about who you allow into this safe haven. And so then you get to that space where, okay, you move a little bit further down the journey. And while you was in isolation, though, consider that you was manifesting, right? And one of the things that you was very intentional about asking for was trustworthy people in your life. People who are, they give just as much as they take, right? People who are not in competition with you, but instead are supportive of you and you're able to support them. You pray for these things. And after a certain period of isolation, the Most High will say, all right, I think they're ready. The butterfly is ready to come out of the cocoon. And so now you emerge back into the world, but it's real. You kind of off balance when you get back out there, because it's like, whew, it's bright as hell out here. It's real bright, and you're feeling real different in this new vessel. You're able to take flight. You're able to do new things, but it's an adjustment, getting back out there and socializing again and letting people see who you have evolved to become. It is it's one of those situations where you got to get back used to it, right? You got to get accustomed to it because it's very new to you, because you're new, you're different. And so you end up attracting people because just like with any butterfly, butterflies are beautiful. And they're all very unique in their own right. And so most people, when they see a butterfly, they're going to stop and take notice. Ooh, did you see that butterfly? That was so pretty. It was like an orange and blue color. That was gorgeous. Or you might even have some people that'll follow the butterfly like, ooh, where's it going? Right? So you attract people because what you bring is very unique. Okay? It's mesmerizing. It's, it's beautiful. It's one of those snapshot moments where people want to be able to remember that energy. So people will cling to you, good or bad energy, though. You're going to attract both. And so because you attract both, what happens when you get out there is you still have that protective mode up, right? Because your main objective, now that you have gone through all of this work to change and to become the better version of yourself and to heal, your main objective from this point on is to sustain that energy, to maintain that internal peace at all costs by any means necessary. You will cut somebody out quick, fast, and in a damn hurry if you detect that any part of them is similar to what you experienced in the past. And it could be because you didn't protect yourself enough. So you might just be a little bit overly protective, right? Please let me know in the comments if y'all can relate to this. You might just be a little bit overly protective because, again, you worked so hard to get to where you are. The Most High begins to awaken your natural gifts within you. You know, you begin to attract your wealth, your abundance. And it's, you begin to blossom. You get your energy back. You get that zeal and that passion and that excitement for life back again. And it's like you don't want anybody to come in and try to snatch that light from you. You don't want anyone to come in and try to dim your light or to try to get you to water down who you are, to appease their own ego. So you get into protective mode, but a little bit overly protective until you've observed and taken enough notes, right? Divine Feminine gets into that space of where nothing is exempt when it comes to her observation. She's very detailed. You become very detailed, okay, about, all right, is this person in alignment? Where do they stand spiritually? How are they moving? Do they seem to support where I am and who I'm becoming? Are they intimidated by it, or are they, complimenting it with their energy? You evaluate everyone. I don't care if it's friends. I don't care if it's coworkers. I don't care if it's business partners. I don't care if it's your job. You are evaluating everything and everyone to see, is this in alignment with me maintaining this high vibrational energy? And if it's not, you are also taking note of that too and making the necessary adjustments to ensure that it does not disrupt what you have been able to create. And so it can come off to others as you're guarded, which you are, okay? You are, maybe even apprehensive of letting people into your life, which you are naturally. You are, maybe even selfish with your time and your energy, which you are naturally, because you've learned some very vital lessons. And so in order to get into the energy of a divine feminine, a person has to be very patient. You got to be patient. You have to be consistent, and you have to have your own happiness in your life in your own right, because divine feminine has found comfort in solitude. Divine feminine has found, when you get to a particular place down the journey now, it's not always the case, especially when you just now getting out there and you getting your feet wet on that path. But I'm talking about when you are further down your journey and you've gone into hermit mode and you begin to find comfort in that space because you realize you're cultivating, you're creating, you're healing, you're awakening. There is a peace that overcomes the divine feminine that allows you to no longer be codependent on external factors in order to find pleasure in life. And this is why you become very particular about who, what, and why. And so you take notes. And so it's very important that people realize that it's not personal. It's not personal when the divine feminine withdraws, or when the divine feminine says, hold up, wait a minute. Let's just, take a minute and really evaluate and see, is this in alignment with me maintaining how far I've come? Is any part of this going to disrupt what I have created? It's very important. But also consider, as a divine feminine, it's just as important to realize that you prayed for trustworthy people to come into your life. You did. You prayed for that because you deserve it. And so sometimes you can be guarded to a fault to where it's like, okay, you're so guarded that even when the right people come around, you're still kind of pushing them off because, oh, it's just so cozy in hermit mode. Or, oh, it's just so much easier to not have to, go through this whole process of evaluating and figuring out, is this person trustworthy? Do they really have my back? Can I really express my creativity around them? Can I really be who I am without ridicule? Or can I really tell them about what I'm working on and they be genuinely excited and proud of me and not giving the evil eye? It's just one of them things where it's like it takes more work to evaluate whether or not somebody is trustworthy than to let them in. It takes more work to do that than to just kind of sit in your own energy and just be at peace. So it is an adjustment getting back out there and welcoming new energies into your life. And so there does come a time, Divine Feminine, where you will meet genuine people because you deserve that. You've earned that because you've always been genuine. You just attracted the ones that wanted to take advantage of that genuine nature and that kind heart. But now that you have learned how to protect your energy, the likelihood of attracting that type of person is less, but it's also the likelihood of you putting too much time and energy into that type of person. If you do attract them, like someone who's not trustworthy or whatnot, the likelihood of you pouring too much of your time and energy into that is very, very slim to none as well, because you've learned to not pour too much of your time into unhealthy situations. And so it can be, a thin line. It's one of those things where discernment is necessary, but it can also be a point where you might question your own discernment about who's trustworthy versus who's not because of what you've gone through. And so it just puts you into that position where, okay, certain things may be triggered, especially if you attract someone who truly is trustworthy. You can have certain triggers where it's like, well, why are you being so nice? What are your motives? What is it that you want from me? You can get to that place because you've been there. And so if they trigger those things, you don't want to beat yourself up about it, but you do want to do the work to keep going within so that you can accept what you have earned, because that is also a part of your birthright. Trustworthy people who truly support you and respect you is a part of your birthright. Just like your wealth, your gifts, your peace. Trustworthy people is just as much a part of your birthright as everything else. And so you want to be open to receiving that. You don't want to shun it when it comes, because that's putting out into the universe that, nope, I don't really want anybody around. Because good and well you ain't going to accept the ones that's karmic, just off the break. But if you're shunning even the ones that are trustworthy and that are genuine, then you're putting out there into the universe that you would rather just be alone for the rest of your life. And most Divine Feminine don't really want that. Like, even though it's cozy and it's comfortable, you don't genuinely want that. So I would just say, depending on where you are on your journey, if you find that that's the place that you are at and you are starting to attract certain people and you're questioning it, if they trigger certain things, just give yourself permission to do some more work. I destroy and release all fear of letting trustworthy people into my life, destroying and releasing all fear of being taken advantage of, or fear of being misused or abused, or fear of, or, any lack of confidence in your own discernment. That also needs to be put on paper and burned and released, in spirit and in flesh. So I hope that this message brought some clarity to those of you who are, even if you're not at this particular part of your journey, it can at least give you a heads up on what you can expect as you continue to, heal yourself and emerge out of hermit mode and get back, into society and welcoming different people into your life. It's a part of the journey, and it's a normal part of the journey. And you just want to continue to do the work on yourself so that you can welcome in true people that's a part of your soul tribe. So that's my message for you all. I hope that it brought you clarity. I love you all, and I'll talk to you all next time.